Welcome back to A Plus Parents, everyone. And so, so I have someone today, and I want you to know, first of all, she's an entrepreneur, she's an educator. She has been in the education space for over 30 years. And best of all is she's one of my buddies. So I'm just super excited to introduce you all to Jessica Parnell today. And I want to tell you a little bit about Jessica. You're going to see the website you can get to reach her on and her company in the show notes. But she is the CEO of a company called Edovate. So you think about, I like to innovate. There's Edovate, right, in the world of education. And Jessica she has a brick and mortar school for young people that want to come to school. She's based out of Pennsylvania, but she has been in the personalized learning world for years, which is how I met her. We bumped into each other at a convention, and it was actually kind of funny because this was actually over 10 years ago that we were at a convention and we bump into each other in the hallway. But this is like the third or fourth time we've seen each other. And we both realized that we have something in common. We both have a little bit of convention ADD, that we can't stay at our booth. So then we realized we better kind of go see what's up. And so she came to my booth, I went to hers, and we've actually been doing some work together ever since. Her program has the opportunity to use our math programs. And we get to talk about her programs, and we're going to be sharing more about it because they have a brand new program. Because so often we get asked about the young guys for math, the K through 6. And they have a brand new program that covers math, but it covers even more. So I'm going to let her share that with you a little bit as well. But I want you to know about Jessica. She's a published author. She's a professional speaker. And she homeschooled, let's see, 3 girls, right?
Yes,
yeah,
that's
all
correct.
3. And one of those poor young ladies had to suffer through a summer with me with pre-calc. So that was super fun. But we get to travel together and see each other to homeschool conventions, which is really, really great. But their world is they work with, they have a dual enrollment program. So they're going to work with young people that are in that advanced age that want to get in and take some of those college classes while they're still in high school. They have a program for working with young people with learning disabilities. So they're working on kids that deal with anxiety and ADD and things like that as well. And they have a proven track record for making those things happen. In addition to that, they're always out looking for how to innovate in the homeschool and personalized learning space. And how I know and see that is because we've been doing things together, and we just keep watching how we can partner and do different things and work together. So first of all, Jessica, welcome. I'm just like super excited. And, we kind of teased each other. It's like, why did we wait so long to do this? But here we are, and we're finally going to be able to say hey to everyone out there. So first, welcome. And, what's your story? So there's Bridgeway Academy, which is where people can find the school. They find the online programs, the brick and mortar school. You have another program called Elefango, which I have known because I was around when that first started. But, for over the last 34 years, Bridgeway has been around even longer than that. But how you got started with Bridgeway and what you've been doing for the last 34 years, tell us about that.
Well, sure. And thank you first for that wonderful introduction.
You bet.
Well, to start, just to correct one thing, we do not have a brick and mortar school. We have a brick and mortar office, but not a school. So,
okay, brick and mortar.
So
office.
we are
the office. That's true.
Yes.
Where was it?
Yes.
I came to. Well, I know. I was your commencement speaker at a graduation.
Yes.
But that wasn't actually at a school. That was at a church, I think. Right? Or not?
It was we hosted at a local college, but we have kids that come in from all over the world for that ceremony. In fact, this year's graduates, we had 4 different families from Qatar. We had several from Dominican, several from Ecuador. So, and of course, all throughout the United States. So it's a wonderful occasion to bring kids together. And so far, you're still one of the top 3 speakers at our commencement. So we'll definitely have to have you come back sometime.
Oh, well, that would be awesome. Okay, I would love to do that.
Yeah, so give you a quick background. Bridgeway Academy was founded as a homeschool academy. And so when you talk about all the different programs that we have now for students, it's because we've been laser focused on home education. And as you said, innovation. So Edovate is a combination of educate and innovate. And our goal has always been to provide the best for students who are home educated, for parents, the tools that they need so that they can home educate well. And because we're not burdened by any of the bureaucracy in education, we've had the freedom to just be innovative and create products and programs that really meet kids where they are.
That's awesome. And you have you've got a big staff. So because I know we get to work with your advisors. I've met a lot of your teachers. I meet all of your team when they come out and they're on the road, and I get to see all the different teams, and it's just kind of fun to see that. So so your reach is deep. It's out there and it's worldwide, which is really, really cool. So when you look at that, right, and you see, because I get asked this all the time, oftentimes, we're at a convention, they go, well, what makes your program different? So I'm going to ask you the question that I get asked all the time. What makes you different?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. And I'm biased, I will admit, but I also have seen the results over 34 years of our students. The main thing that makes us different is that we truly are student-centric. So when a parent enrolls a child with Bridgeway Academy, we start by getting to know the parents, the amount of involvement the parent wants to be. Do you want to be a partner? Do you want to be an active teacher? Do you want to be a motivator? We get to know the student's learning style, so we know how do they learn best. And then we also get to know their personality style, because believe it or not, every personality reacts to different lessons in different ways, right? So if you're a very strong go-getter, high-level thinker personality, you don't necessarily thrive in a statistics course where you're gathering the stats, but maybe rather you're evaluating those and making decisions from them. So all of those things come together when we recommend curriculum for families. Another big difference about it with Bridgeway Academy is that we work with over 40 publishers and online programs like yours. So we can match students up to what we know best fits different types of learners. And that allows those kids to thrive because we're matching them with curriculum, content, as well as the themes that best interest them based on what they want to do in the future. And then lastly, one of the greatest strengths that we have is because we've been focused on home education, when we create a program, we create it for the home educator. So we've created one-to-one instructor guides for those families who prefer to use textbooks. So parents know what to do every single day. We've created those to be built-in portfolios because home educators need a portfolio at the end of the year throughout many of our states and countries in the world. And then we created live online classes that are once, maybe twice a week versus every single day, because we know that home educators love their freedom, right? So everything that we have developed has been around the needs of families who are educating their children at home.
Wow. Okay. It's funny too, because, you hear so many, a lot of people in the world and they're like, oh yeah, our program's customized, right? But in what you just said, I can hear it already. It really is customized based on the student. Like, what are they interested in? I know one of the times I was at the convention and there was the balls and we kept looking at the balls and there was the think and feel. And it was, it was like all about learning styles. So you were already just talking to people from where they learn and how they best learn. But I heard even more now. So tell me a little more about, because when you say customize, that means something different than a lot of people that say customize. So you really do customize the experience. What's that like for your students and the parents?
Well, yes, I would agree. We are the only program that truly customizes, right? Because there are programs out there that will say we customize, but what they do is put you at a third grade level in math and a second grade in English, or they advance you a whole grade level. But when we customize, as you said, we customize really to that student, what works best for that kid. And if they're super strong in math, what is the capacity for that student? What are their interests? How do we give them a math program that will make them thrive and connect math back to life? So it's not just practice and repetition, which is so important, but it's also, how does this apply to the world around me? So we're customizing, as I said, to their learning style, to their personality style, but we're also customizing for the parent, because many parents are working parents and they have to figure out how do I have the best of both worlds, where I don't have to give my student away to the school system. I get to teach them at home, but also continue to support my family in a working environment. So that takes a different type of curriculum, a different type of approach. So that goes from, so we offer those live online classes, we offer asynchronous online, we offer textbooks, and then we also have a whole supplemental online program called Elefango, as you mentioned, that really allows those kids to let curiosity drive them and sort of introduce that whole unschooling approach in a system that kids are safe exploring and can just go after the topics that interest them.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so you talked about the live online classes. So you have a program and you call yours Homeschool Live. And
Yes.
I know the training that our teachers on our staff go through. It's just intense what we have them go through before they teach a live online class. But tell me about your teachers, because I know your teachers they're pretty amazing.
They are. So they go through some intense training as well. They also have a passion for home education, a passion for kids. So some of them have been teachers in the classroom, and we've had to unteach some of that. Some of them have been teachers in the classroom that all left because they didn't need to be untaught, right? They knew that the type of teaching they needed to deliver wasn't happening in the classroom. And then we have many who are just embracing the technology, embracing the opportunity to help put those innovations into their teaching, get kids engaged, talking to one another, presenting, trying out AI, all of those things that will help prepare those kids for the future. Our teachers embrace, and they go through training all the time. So they're trained all year long. They have new topics all year. They go through some additional training in the summer. They also build many of our courses. So the expertise and things that they've learned from the previous year of teaching and learning, they can implement into the future courses that we deliver the following year.
That's awesome. Okay, I just looked at a brand new program of yours called Discover. And I looked at the math part, right? And you looked at taking something that, and it's interesting, right? Because we come back and we're like, okay, we're doing grades 1 through 6, or we're doing our high school programs, or whatever that looks like. And you took on the idea of, what, let's create a new elementary math program. So, but I always am cautious to let people know, when you hear that it's new math, that doesn't mean it's new math. It just means
Right.
it's a new program that delivers math, right? So make sure we say that, so people that no, not another new kind of math. No, but you actually have it's a new program that has a math curriculum. So tell us about that, because I loved it. So what, what made you think it's time to create something new like that?
Well, I think one of the things we've heard from parents, especially in the last 5 to 6 years, is this desire for an online elementary program. I have a lot of background in neuroscience, pursued my master's in neuroscience, and specifically ended up applying everything I was learning to the neuroscience of learning. And elementary kids should not be sitting at a computer all day. They need to be active. They need to be moving. They need the hand-eye coordination that they develop through writing is important in these developmental years. And yet we were hearing more and more parents saying we just want online. So Discover's initial vision was to create a responsible online elementary program where it was a blend of textbooks, hands-on, and online. So the kids do get that freedom to drive their own learning with a portal they log into that kind of guides them through their lessons, but guides them back to a book and pencil and paper activities, guides them back to hands-on activities, and to conversation with their parents or their instructor, so that they're getting the best of all of those worlds. We also, because of my study of neuroscience, actually Elefango and Discover both apply all of the principles of neuroscience in how they present information. How does the brain best access and retain information? How do we make certain that students are engaged? How do we make certain that what they're learning connects back to life? Because when it can connect back to life, becomes more memorable, they get more excited about it, and they understand there's a reason behind what I'm learning. I'm not just practicing skills. When I learn to compare and contrast, guess what? This is not just a paper. This is something you use all through life. And we introduce them to vocations where you're using compare and contrast and cause and effect and all of the different concepts that they're learning. So that was our vision behind Discover. And if you think about our Discover math, some of the powerful things in learning in general, but especially in math, are that students have a story to connect to. So they understand how does this math connect to real life? We need students to connect the idea of applying what they're learning to problem solving. So we've built that into the program. We also have students that need repetition and review. We all do, but some need even more repetition and review to really master a concept. So we needed to make certain that Discover responsibly provided repetition and review in fun ways. And then we also have those students, those visual learners who have they're global thinkers. They have to start with the big picture. So if you think about math, and if you're familiar with elementary homeschool math, and you take Life of Fred, Matthew C, and Singapore, and you put it together, that's sort of what you see with what we've created in Discover.
That's awesome. It's funny because when I was looking at it, it was like, that was Life of Fred in Singapore, right? I was like, okay, I can see that. I can see that there. And even some of the modeling from Matthew C as well. And it's funny because the Matthew C folks and myself, we came from that same background, that same modeling and pictures. And it was, it's amazing. I saw that way back in like the early 1990s before Matthew C was Matthew C, right? It was kind of funny. So I remember talking with Steve Demi about that. I was like, hey man, I've seen these blocks before. We had the best conversation. It was really fun. Yeah. So it was really great. Now, I also noticed in there too with Discover that and I think a lot of times, when we get a lot of the parents in our program where it's kind of that above their pay grade kind of thing for the math, and they start getting into higher algebra and geometries and trig and all those things. But when they're still in those elementary years, the parents, they're still can be, if they choose to be, if they want to be, that primary teacher. And I knew it was I'm going to use the word scripted, but it was scripted in a way where there was a lot of ability for parents to move inside of what was scripted for them. It was more like an outline. It's probably a better way to say that they had an outline of how to guide a lesson and what questions to ask and when to give the different kinds of assignments, that they're looking at those different learning styles as they move through an assignment. So when you were, share, like when parents are there, because that was what I saw for a parent, what would you say what parents should expect when they look at a program, when they look at Discover?
Right. Well, great question. The instructor guides that we built in Discover are just that. They're made to help the parent feel equipped and empowered to really teach whatever subject of Discover they've purchased. So it scripts, but doesn't script, right? It gives them questions to ask, discussion opportunities, hands-on activities. And as you said, if you have a visual learner, here's a great activity. If they're auditory, here's another. And learning style is more than just, I have to see it to hear it when we say visual, or I have to hear it to learn it when we say auditory. It's really how their brain best processes information. So those activities are designed around that neuroscience of the learning. But we've also built in there, which I'm excited about, little co-op guides. So group work. So when you happen to have a group of students together, we've already created for you some ideas so they can be working independently throughout the week in their Discover course. And then when they come together, we've equipped that co-op instructor to give them some activities that they can do together that applies what they've learned in science that week, or math, or ELA, or whatever it is, the subject that they've moved forward with Discover.
Right.
And then again, the online gives them, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, because I'm talking about the math, because that's what I looked at, but it's not just math. You've done everything. It's all subjects are included.
Yes, all 4 core subjects are built, and lots of fantastic response. Parents are excited about it. It's colorful for the kids. It has opportunities for them to drive their own learning with little sidebars that give them options and things they can explore further. And it equips the parents. And then it's a nice flow, because the kids, as they're learning, if they come across a lesson that either is brand new to them, or that maybe they didn't quite get, the book instructs them where to go back to learn that concept again. So we're constantly trying to create materials that allow kids to be independent learners.
Wow, that's awesome. So they can kind of get it all in one place at one time, which is great. And I noticed that I'm going to come back to that too, because sometimes people are like, oh no, then I have to do everything. But we'll look at how they can a la carte it too, because I know people can do that too. But when you mentioned the co-ops, there's a new term out there, and I've heard you use this a lot. I probably heard you use this more than anybody I know, called micro schools. So when you talk about like people that are using it in co-ops, or they want to start a co-op, this is great because that's what they're looking for. What resources do we get to? But tell me a little bit about micro schools. So I know you and I have shared about it, but for people, that may be a new word for people, what a micro school is.
Sure. So for those who have been in the homeschool trenches for years and years and years, micro school is sort of the next phase of a co-op. For micro schools tend to have a teacher that you've hired to help run the school, but it's a 5 to 10 kid opportunity. Maybe some of schools go up to 15, where you're bringing those kids together in a what is truly a micro school environment, so they are able to have that social interaction, that challenge of one another in a safe place with kids that are coming from other homes and other areas that are also focused on the desire to learn, the desire to be creative in learning. And we actually have a whole micro school arm for Bridgeway Academy, where those who are looking to start micro schools, we can come alongside of you. We provide all of the programming, or we provide some of the program. We have 3 different tiers of support that you can receive from us. And we walk you through the process. We support you through the process. How do you start? What do you have to think about, right? Because you need to figure out, what does your space look like? Do I need insurance, right? All of these questions that you have. We've created a kind of a consulting arm that can help you get that started quickly. And then the best of both worlds, you also can get your programming from us without being limited to one approach. Because again, our differentiator at Bridgeway Academy has always been, let's do what fits the student best. So we continue to work with a number of publishers, online providers, and live teachers to make sure that we're providing the best solution for that micro school as well.
Right. Oh, that's very cool. Wow. So kind of like a co-op advanced, right?
Yeah, there you go. Co-op on rails.
Yeah, I like it. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. And you've mentioned Elefango. I mentioned a little bit earlier. And let's see, I'm thinking now, has it been out there for 7 or 8 years now? Does that sound about right?
So Elefango, just to give you the quick history of Elefango, one of my convictions is, if a student has enrolled with us in Bridgeway Academy and for some reason, the curriculum we've selected isn't working, which very rare, but now and then a student might say, I just don't get it. I did not want to say, well, now you have to buy this book, right? So we set out to create study guides that would help kids better understand specific concepts that they tended to struggle with the most. And if a parent needed it, we just emailed it to them, right? Here's a PDF, it's designed well, we dropped it to them. Well, in 2014, I decided to get with the times and put it online. And that was the vision for Elefango. Actually, our initial vision statement was to be the Google of homeschooling, so that parents would have a place to go where they could search for a lesson, a topic, an approach, even just some skill building, and find it in a place where they know it's peer reviewed, they know it's written well, they know it's safe. It's not full of any kind of political agenda. It's safe, and they know they can cater it to different students, types of learners. And so that's what we built in Elefango. And in Elefango, which is an online subscription, families can subscribe to that for just $9.99 a month. So they jump in there. They can. I'm sorry, you're going to have to edit that. Families can subscribe for $19.99 a month.
There we go, $19.99 a month.
$19.99 a month for the whole family.
Right.
So it's families subscribe for $19.99 a month for the whole family, and they can, in there, it's designed for kids to drive their learning. So it's curiosity driven. Once they start to select lessons, when they log in, there are similar lessons in front of their dashboard. Now they can keep searching, but they kind of keeps giving them ideas based on what they've said they needed or love. We've created badging in there, so kids can earn badges like an explorer badge or a history badge, and they're fun names. I don't know the names offhand, but they're fun names that kids would like to have, and the badges are fun. They fill their page with their different badges. Parents can create study lists for each kid and just drop lessons into kids' study lists, so that if there is something you want your kid to focus on, your son, daughter, to focus on, you can assign those. And then they also have all sorts of gamification, run streaks. They have climbing the leaderboard, and climbing the leaderboard is not about quiz scores. It's about curiosity. It's about how many lessons, so anybody can climb the leaderboard. So we've built that all in there to keep kids engaged and to really meet the needs of every learner, so that they, and even just how we've categorized the lessons, right? They're not grade level, they're spans. So if you have a struggling kid, they don't necessarily know that the lesson they're taking is not at their chronological grade level. So we've thought of all of those things in how we've built Elefango. And it's just, people, our families love it, homeschoolers love it. And we keep building more and more content in there.
That's awesome. Well, I remember, yeah, I don't know if you remember, you and I, we filmed,
Yes.
doing some of those videos, and way back when it first started, and we just happened to both be in Florida at the same time. So anybody in the Florida area, you can see one of the Elefango videos. You'll see Jessica and I in Gulfport, Florida. This is about 10 years ago. And we did the intro right from Gulfport, Florida. So if you're familiar with the Florida area, right, that was fun. So we had a blast with that. Okay, so, and again, I keep hearing customization really geared towards, towards what we do, personalized learning, which is awesome. All right, so we got all these sites. There's bridgewayacademy.com. There's discoverk12books.com. So if they're getting to Discover, it's also k12books.com, and we'll put that in the show notes. And then Elefango is elefango.com. And then if they go through the Bridgeway Academy site, can they get to the other, will they see Discover and Elefango on the site? Is that the best way to kind of see all three, or what's the easiest way for them to find and kind of maneuver around?
So I'm going to give you another URL. So you will not find them all through Bridgeway, but if you go to Edovate, it's Edovate. E-D-O-V as in Victor, A-T-E. So think educate and innovate. Yeah. Edovate.com. And from there, you can get to all of those websites.
That's awesome. Oh, I know one thing I did want to ask you, because, for parents that right now, it's like, oh my gosh, there's so much. But sometimes people are just in need of a science curriculum, or they've done their language arts, but they just have that one last thing that they haven't got done yet. So can they do things individually through the program as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. If you go to bridgewayacademy.com, you can choose independent homeschooler under our drop down, and choose from live online classes, asynchronous online classes, Discover. And then we also have grade level kits. So if you are one that's just saying, I don't know where to start, but I'm very active in an organization, I don't necessarily need an academy for support, check out the grade level kits. They give you a kit designed around learning style with all of the subjects you need, parent guides that you need, along with some extra hands-on types tools that you can use with your kids. So that's another opportunity under Bridgeway Academy, where you can get really what's the best of the best out there in home education, all put together in a kit that's easy to pick up and use from day one.
Wow, that's awesome. It's interesting about our world that we live in, in the homeschooling world, because the fact that you get to partner with so many different kinds of companies, and you have, so you're developing your own programs, plus you have other companies that you get to work with. And, in most industries, that can be a little frowned upon, in terms of like, different math programs working together. But that's the one thing that I've always found in homeschooling. It's like, I can go and I can sit down and talk to Steve Demi at Matthew C, or Ethan if he's there, but whoever's there, and we sit down and have a conversation. We have a great time, and we walk each other to each other's booths. It's like, there's sometimes we'll see somebody, it's like, this is a better fit going this way, and we walk them down there, or they bring people our way. And I love that, because we know that we get to partner with you through your programs, but you're partnering with us based on your students' needs. And if they need a program like ours, then they come our way. And if there's someone else, and there's no love loss, it's not competitive, because it really is based on the student and the student's needs. And that's amazing. And that, I think, is what, just think of businesses actually kind of got in the world of that. If they could, kind of model what we do, I think it would be we'd have a different way we wake up in the morning for a lot of people. But anyway,
I agree. I agree.
I have my own opinion there, right? Yeah.
and we love that so many organizations are willing to jump in and work with us, because then we can provide what's best for those students. So we have two different live online math options in high school. I will say yours tends to be the favorite, because people
That's good.
love Mr. D math. But we do have different options, so that if they are a student who really needs that kind of hands-on, but a little bit more scripted, slower approach, then we have a different live online class offering for those kids. So it's wonderful, because like you said, there's a lot of fantastic learning options out there. And if we had not said we're going to embrace them all, we couldn't say that we truly customize to kids. And so we embrace the best of the best out there. And as a result, we have kids that come in many times who are struggling, and we're able to turn that around. And that's why we do what we do.
That's awesome. Okay, well, there's edovate.com, and from Edovate you can get to bridgewayacademy.com. You can get to discoverk12books.com and elefango.com, or you can go to any of them all together, and we'll put them all in the show notes so you'll be able to see that as well. Jessica, we got to do this again. This is too fun. So we'll come back, and because I know you're going to be up to new things, we'll be up to new things. So as we kind of unfold some new things happening out in the world, we'll come back and do this again and keep sharing with people. So thanks for making your day work, because I know what your schedule's like. I know it took something to even just carve out some time today to do this. So I really appreciate your time and being here and sharing with our listeners.
Thank you. It's been a joy to be here, and always great to work with you, Dennis.
It is. It's fun. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for tuning in to A+ Parents, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.